Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Steve. This is the Fandom Show. Back with you again for another pop culture roundup. Quite a few things to go over today, so let's go ahead and jump in. First of all, Andor Season 2. All episodes out now. Very, very, very well done. Andor has been some of the best Star Wars since the original trilogy. I really, really enjoyed the second season. Not easy to watch at times. I mean, this show went pretty dark for Star Wars, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's different from the more, you know, uh, brighter, more adventure styles of movies like Return of the Jedi. Andor definitely kind of scratches below the surface of Star Wars and doesn't really hold back. It's very gritty, but I think that's a good thing. And it's really neat to see that Disney is catering to some of us more mature Star Wars fans with some content that's not quite, traditional for what Disney usually offers. So Andor is really, really well done. If you enjoy Star Wars, if you're especially a fan of the original trilogy, I highly recommend Andor. I think you'll really, really like it. Do yourself a favor, though, after you've watched the last few episodes of Andor, throw on Rogue One immediately after. It is just amazing how seamlessly they integrate those final episodes, just how seamlessly it flows into Rogue One, which is pretty impressive considering that Rogue One was filmed 9 years ago. So they did an excellent job linking these two stories together, and they really do deserve to be watched back to back. I mean, you could follow up with A New Hope after Rogue One if you wanted to, but really recommended that if you finish watching Andor, watch Rogue One along with it. You will not regret that decision. I rewatched Rogue One a while back. Still really enjoyed it. Great Star Wars movie. Definitely one of my favorites. My only gripe with it now that I didn't have before is that I don't think the holographic Peter Cushing... The CGI Peter Cushing stands up as well as it did back then. I think that's just really because technology has moved quite a bit forward in the past 10 years, and in looking at the way they did it back then, it's just not quite as convincing as some of the things that we see now, but that's a minor quibble. It's still a great movie regardless. Rewatch it after you watch Andor, you won't be disappointed. Karate Kid, we have a new Karate Kid movie coming out this month. Kind of an interesting one because it combines Ralph Macchio, who's from the original Karate Kid, with Jackie Chan, who basically played the Mr. Miyagi / Karate Master figure from the 2010 Karate Kid movie that starred Jaden Smith, Will Smith's son, as the kid who's doing the karate training. So now they're both together training this new kid, and hopefully it'll do really well. Karate Kid franchise has been on a good roll lately with Cobra Kai, so I'll watch anything Karate Kid with Ralph Macchio in it. He does a great job, and I'm definitely looking forward to this movie. Not too far off, either this weekend or next weekend it releases, but we're really, really close. So definitely looking forward to that. Love me some Karate Kid. Marvel's Thunderbolts have been out in the theaters. Relatively good reception. I haven't seen this one in the theaters. It's actually been a while since I've seen a Marvel movie in the theaters, to the point where I'm not entirely sure I can remember which one it was. Maybe the last Spider-Man movie. It's certainly been a minute, but I mean, I don't go to see them all in theaters. I check some on Disney Plus after the fact, so Thunderbolts is definitely going to be in that bucket for me. I'll check it out on Disney Plus. Not necessarily one that I'm running to the theater to see. Here's a thing that came out this week. There was plenty of rumors swirling around that we were going to get Napoleon Dynamite 2. Not going to happen. The reason the rumors started is because this year or last year, it's been about 20 years since Napoleon Dynamite. And the rights have reverted back to the original filmmakers from the studio. And so I guess somebody took that and kind of twisted it into, and they're making a sequel too. But the filmmakers are like, no, we're not making a sequel. Nothing's in the pipeline. So Napoleon Dynamite sequel is not in production. Could still be a thing because, I mean, that's just how Hollywood rolls these days, right? I'm going to go on record as saying I don't think it needs a sequel. Napoleon Dynamite is a fun movie that just, I think, stands on its own. The reality is that not every movie needs a sequel. Some great movies can be just as they are. Another great example of that is The Princess Bride. And there are other examples as well, but those are two that immediately come to mind. Speaking of strange things going on in Hollywood, there's apparently going to be, and I swear to you this is true, there's apparently going to be a Skibbity Toilet movie directed by Michael Bay. Now, if you don't know what Skibbity Toilet is, I'm not going to tell you. You can Google it. I don't even understand it. It's apparently something that a lot of kids are into these days because they've been merchandising the crap out of it. but I don't understand the appeal. Anyway, supposedly they're going to, of course, want to make a movie out of this. I don't know, but I guess if they can make a ton of money with the Minecraft movie, it makes sense to start going after other properties that young kids are investing time in and see what you can dig out. So I'm not going to go see that one, but the people, I guess, might be interested. On to some sad notes. Brad Arnold, who is the lead singer of the band Three Doors Down, announced recently that he's been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, which is already metastasized. He says he's not afraid, and he's going to make the best of what time he has left. We certainly send our thoughts and prayers to him. Also in the cancer department, legendary pro wrestling announcer Jim Ross announced this past week that he's been diagnosed with colon cancer. He'll be undergoing surgery soon. So I was actually supposed to meet him at a Comic-Con next month, which obviously won't be happening now. But we certainly wish him the best as he goes through the battle with cancer. This week we lost George Wendt, who played Norm on Cheers. I just take note about Norm. On Star Trek Deep Space Nine, there was a character named Morn, which is just the letters of Norm rearranged. And it was just a character who was always in the bar. He didn't have a single line of dialogue in the show, and that was his thing, that he never spoke. But he was still always in the bar, and he's developed quite a fan following among Trekkies. So, interesting little note there. Also, on the subject of cancer and people passing, this week, Final Destination Bloodlines comes into theaters, which features Tony Todd. Tony Todd has been in other projects. He did some work in Star Trek on The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine. He was, of course, known for the Candyman movies. And he also did the voice of Venom in Spider-Man 3 back in 2007. But he's been in most of the Final Destination movies. And in this last movie, since they knew he was dying, the filmmakers decided to let him, within the movie, send a message to the fans. So here's what he had to say. I intend to enjoy the time I have left. I suggest you do the same. Life is precious. Enjoy every single second. You never know when. Good luck. And I think he meant you never know when your time is up. And that's very, very true, you know. None of us knows when our time is up. You'd like to think, even somebody like me who's relatively healthy, you know, I'd like to think that I have quite a few years left. But I can't see into the future. I don't know what's going to happen. And so it's very, very important to make the most of the time you have. Let the people you love know that you love them, and just try to live that good life and leave something good behind you. That's going to be all the philosophy stuff that I'm going to do today, but just something to think about. But a great message there for Mr. Todd. I think that's kind of the way a lot of people think when they're on the way out. But, you know, it's easy to look back in hindsight and think, man, I should have done all these things. You know, make yourself a list and get at it while you can. There's no excuse if you're healthy to not start doing these things. You may not get everything done on your list, but you'll probably accomplish a lot more than you think you might be able to. All right, so on to some cool stuff. I went to my first, it was advertised as a card/collectible show where they were going to have like toys and retro video games and WWE stuff. And they did have some of that, but it was mostly just sports cards. So I picked up a few things at that show. Here's a classic NBA Hoops Michael Jordan card. I'm not a huge basketball fan, but I mean, Michael Jordan back in the 90s, you gotta love it. So I collected that set as a kid. I liked having it. I also picked up a pack of WWE cards, and this was inside. That diamond-shaped thing you see there is actually, supposedly, a piece of the ring from WrestleMania 34, which took place in New Orleans. So that's kind of neat. On some other stuff here, I've been in the process of building the Lego Darth Vader helmet. This is the first section that I've worked on, and then I've been working on this section here, which might look kind of familiar. Obviously, this is going to go on this, and then it's going to build up from there. So I've certainly been enjoying that. But here's something I've learned about Lego. The entire Darth Vader helmet is black, right? But take a look at this bag of parts from it. This is the next bag I have to open as I move forward with this build. And as you can tell, there's all kinds of crazy colored bricks in there. So apparently, despite the fact that the entire helmet is black, Lego's like, we're going to throw a bunch of colored bricks in there, put it underneath the black. I'm not sure why exactly. I'd have to assume it has to do with saving money or otherwise making their production line more efficient, but I just thought that's kind of funny that they pick all these random brightly colored bricks to bury under this dark helmet of a Sith Lord. But I guess Lego's gonna Lego, right? Alright, the last thing I need to show you, and this is really cool, I won an auction lately and got, among other things, so what you're looking at here, this is really cool. This is a screen-used prop from the X-Files TV series. And underneath this cover, it says, if you can read that pertaining to the death of Fox Mulder. Pretty wild, huh? So that is from a season 6 episode called Field Trip. And you might be wondering, wait a minute, the death of Fox Mulder, the X-Files is about Fox Mulder, how could he die? Well, it's one of those things where the character doesn't really die, he just quote-unquote dies. And this happened a lot in episode television lives. It's basically a thing where the character would die in like a fantasy or hallucination or a dream sequence, something like that. So in this particular episode, Mulder is investigating disappearance, and he stumbles across this plant that emits this pollen or whatever the heck it is that essentially knocks people out and causes them to hallucinate all these various things. And while you're hallucinating, the plant is eating you alive. And then Scully goes to try to find Mulder, and she gets sucked up into this thing too. And so the episode essentially transitions, and we see both of their hallucinations, and in that hallucination, Mulder dies. And this particular document is used in a scene where Scully is presenting her findings on Mulder's death to Assistant Director Skinner. Here's a still from that scene right now. Yeah, and so as you can see, that document that was on your screen is the very same document that was in my hand. This is not a reproduction or a recreation or anything like that. This is the genuine article that was produced back in May 1999, 26 years ago, when that episode was being produced. I also have another folder from a report that Skinner gets at the end of the episode, and a couple of tags from the drawers in Mulder's office. So that is really, really cool. I have not figured out where I'm going to display it yet, but I'll definitely find a place for it. I ended up paying a little more for this than I wanted, simply because I didn't understand all the extra costs that I have to pick up after putting in the winning bid. But hey, lesson learned, not a huge financial hit. I have these really, really cool things now for my collection. So overall, I am very, very happy. And that about wraps it up for tonight. I've got some cool stuff in the pipeline, including a video, an in-depth look at Andor Season 2. And then in about 2 weeks from now, I'll have a brand new Switch 2 in my hands along with Mario Kart World. So I'll certainly be happy to drop back here and give you some first thoughts on that. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I will catch you back here real soon.